I'm only taking one step at a time towards healing myself. I had to get out, I found a way out. No more living in pain or misery. It's all about protecting my energy. Keep the negative away from me, because I am just keeping my peace. Cut off everything that no longer was serving me, and I chose to start loving myself. I walk in my purpose, no looking back, I'm only going with it. B.O. standing there, a better version of me. I must say that I'm proud of me. It's not about how you feel, I'm living proof that God is real. So let me show you how to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, cause I came a long way. My journey isn't yet complete, that's what it look like to heal. Damn it, I'm wearing it well, I'm proud of myself. It's nothing to it, you can do it, all you gotta do is just fight through it. Create a soul, create a soul, create a soul. Just fight through it. Create a soul, create a soul, create a soul, create a soul, yeah, yeah.
Welcome to Pain to Purpose podcast, where we have open discussions to heal together as a community. Today, we are on episode 26, and we're talking about single parenting. And our special guest is Cece. Welcome, Cece, girl. How you
Hello.
doing?
I'm good. Blessed, highly favored as always. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
You welcome. I'm glad to see you back. Glad to see you back.
Yes.
Now, if y'all don't remember, I'm gonna help you remember. Cece was on season 1 for the recap show, and she
Yes.
sung for y'all.
I did my best. I was a little hoarse, but I did my best.
You did great. You did great.
Hope I bless somebody.
Cece, so tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, I know, but we have new viewers. So
Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, as she said, my name is Miss Cece. I am 33 years old, single mom of 3 small children, 2, 4, and 6. And I am ex-military, Air Force veteran. Yes. And I love God, love to sing. I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. I've been singing since I was 4 years old. And I definitely am here to minister not only to myself, but to anyone out there that needs to hear my story, because it's definitely changed my life from top to bottom. So hopefully it can help someone heal out there.
I'm sure it will. And if it touch one person, girl, your job is
That's
done.
all we need. That's all we need.
Because, I really wanted to talk about single parenting because it's hard out here.
Oh
And
my goodness.
but also I wanted people to see, how being a single mother, it may be hard, or a single father, it may be hard,
Mhm,
but you can get through it. And there may be some people out there that's just becoming a single parent, and
mhm.
with people telling their story, it may uplift them or encourage them and let them know, like, you got this, it's gonna be okay, like God got you,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, because it's literally like nobody plans to be a single parent. When you even us as children growing up, the men that aspire to be fathers and husbands, the women that aspire to be mothers and wives, we don't plan to be single parents, so when it happens, it's literally like a blow, like it's literally the one of the hardest things that you can ever imagine to do. But when you start getting into, especially if you're a parent that loves your kids, because not everybody love their kids, I'm just being real. Not everybody love their kids. That's why it's a lot of adopted kids, a lot of foster kids. But when you're a parent that really loves your children, to me, it's easy to be a single parent. I have struggled. I still do struggle sometimes emotionally, financially, all of that. But what makes it easy is my children. My children are very lovable, very respectful, and they make it easy for me to be like, okay, that's okay. I can do this by myself. I didn't choose to be a single parent, and I was definitely in an abusive relationship with their father, but all of that I've healed from. I've been delivered from. So because of that, the Lord has made it very easy. Trust in Him makes it easy. Like all I have to do is trust that God gonna take care of me and my kids, and He does it. He's been doing it. So if you ain't got God, then I understand why it's hard to be a single parent. If you don't have God in your life, it's hard to do anything because life be life for real. But with God, anything is possible, and it makes it doesn't make it easier to accept. It makes it easier to deal with.
But
So
one of the things, like, okay, so I was married to my son's father.
mhm,
Like you said, nobody, I mean, we don't sign up to be single parents, right? It happens.
right,
It is what it is. So at the beginning, I'm like, huh, I'm a single mom. I didn't sign up for this. Like, how am I supposed to do this?
mhm,
How am I supposed to make a way? And, I know that God makes a way, but when you go through these things, you really be thinking at that moment, how am I going to do this?
mhm,
And I'm not gonna lie and say that I said, oh, this is easy. No, it is hard at times.
mhm,
And I do have God,
mhm.
but having God helps you through the process.
Yes, it does. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say that it's easy, I don't mean that the work is easy. The workload is definitely taxing. It really is. Especially, I'm just speaking from experience being a single mom of three. As you can, I mean, if you heard me in the beginning, my children are 2, 4, and 6. So I have three small children. I don't have a teenager to help me out with the other two, or a middle-aged teen. But I have to do all of it by myself. And from my experience, okay, all of my children are a year and a half apart. And so that means that as I was taking care of one, I was pregnant with another. So I was pregnant, taking care of a small child. I went through all three of my pregnancies alone. My children's father was not there through either one of my pregnancies. He left every time I got pregnant, came back right before I gave birth. So I went through all three of my pregnancies by myself. No one was there for me except for my mother and my cousin. They were always there for me through all three. So don't get me wrong when I say it's easy. It's easy for me because I've learned how to cope.
Well, yeah, you learn how to cope
Right.
eventually.
Exactly. But like I said, I still have challenging moments to where I'm sitting there thinking like, Lord, how did I get here? You know what I'm saying? What did I do to deserve this? What decisions did I make that got me here to be able to have to raise these kids alone? It's definitely not easy at all. It's not easy to accept. It's not, because like you said, we didn't sign up for this. My children's father left me after 6 years of us being together, and he moved back home, and I was left with three children, and I had to figure it out. So what helped me was the support that I have from my family. You know, I have a supportive mother. I have supportive siblings. I have supportive aunts and uncles. But for those people who don't, I know it can be very challenging. I couldn't imagine not having my family to back me up going through this, because if they weren't here, I probably wouldn't have made it. I probably would have lost my mind.
My son didn't even know about the school. Well, he knew about the school bus, but he didn't know about riding on one.
At all. And
Always,
mine.
always taking him to school until
Mhm,
she got sick and passed. Since
mhm,
he was in school, she's always taking, because I was already at work. So,
mhm.
she was a lot of help, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for everything that she did for my baby, because it takes a village. You know,
Yes, it definitely does.
back in the day, how it takes a village, and it still takes a village.
Yeah, and people get away from that. That's the problem. Like we really could talk all night about this, because people really get away from the old school way of doing things, but it worked. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up old school. I grew up, if you get in trouble at school, you get in trouble at home. If you get in trouble down the street and Miss Ethel May had to whoop you, when you get home, you get another whooping. You know
Wherever
what I'm saying?
that's where you're gonna get a whooping at.
Yes, yes. Like, that's how we were raised. But see, it's like our generation is like, we can't we a lot of us are teaching our children that, and a lot of us aren't, but more of us aren't than is. And that's why our children and their generations coming up are starting to be more nonchalant about the way things work. And, oh, I can have 5 kids and not be married, or I can shack up with this man a bit. And not to say that you can't make it work, but it worked better the way that they did it, when they did it right. And the word tells you that. The Bible tells you that it's better to marry than to burn. And to be fruitful and multiply. But be fruitful and multiply with your spouse, with your husband, with your wife. Like, that's what makes it hard. And I made that mistake.
Why you gotta bring up be fruitful and multiply? Let me tell you.
Because,
So, when I got ready to get married, right, and we went to marriage
Mhm,
counseling, right,
mhm.
and so the pastor was, doing the marriage counseling, and he was talking about be fruitful and multiply, and I didn't say nothing. I was very quiet on that part, okay. And he said, "Yes, it says be multiply, be fruitful and multiply." And I still didn't say nothing. And then I was like, I don't want a bunch of kids.
I don't want to multiply.
But I didn't even tell him. So I guess he was. I don't know if he saw the body language. The Lord told him something. I don't know, but I wasn't trying to listen to that part, and I'm not going to sit here and lie like I was. I wasn't. I didn't like it, but
Listen, when I tell you, I
but I
have
was.
always Listen, I am the oldest of 3 daughters on my mom's side. I am the middle child of 5 kids on my dad's side. I'm the only girl on my dad's side, in the middle. So when I tell you, I never wanted kids. I never wanted kids. I always wanted to be the rich auntie, which is why I went to the military. I always wanted to be the rich auntie, and met somebody that completely changed my mind. Like, oh, I can have kids. That's no problem. Just stupid.
Well, I used to have everybody else's kids with me. And then
Mhm,
when I
mhm.
decided that I wanted to be a mother, after I had got married, and then I had my son, and I am so grateful that God blessed me with my son. He's definitely my miracle child. When I say
Mhm.
miracle child, he's my miracle child. So I'm very grateful for what God blessed me with. But having a house full was not in the plan, honey.
Honey, I never decided to be a mother. I just became one. I never made the decision, oh, you know what? I'm ready to have a baby. No. When I got pregnant with my son, my oldest, me and my children's father were breaking up, and he was moving back home.
See, you got to tell us, how did you meet your kid's father?
Okay, so first of all, let me start from, like I said, I was married before I met my children's father. Y'all, please, this is a small print message. Do not do what I did, okay? Because it is not the blueprint for how things are supposed to go. But this is my story. So I got married at the age of 19. I married my high school sweetheart. I met him when I was 16. Lost my virginity and everything to him when I was 17 years old. This was my first everything. I went to the military right out of high school, graduated, went straight to the military at the age of 18. When I graduated tech school from the military, I got married 2 days before. Got married to this man, thought he was the love of my life. He started cheating on me. He started being physically abusive, verbally abusive. And I moved back home. I got kicked out of the military. And I definitely will not blame it on him because everything that I did was my decision. But I will say that the circumstances that I was going through, especially at the age of 19 years old, um, they definitely caused a lot of my decisions. I started smoking marijuana, started doing things to try to cope with what I was going through. And it wasn't the right, answer. So long story short, went through that, finally left him at the age of 24, 2015. I left, moved to Atlanta. I'm like, I'm getting away from Missouri. I'm from Missouri. So I'm like, I'm getting away from Missouri. The only way I can get away from this man is if I leave the state. So I moved to Atlanta, moved in with my mom's brother, my uncle, stayed down there for maybe 2 weeks, 2 weeks tops. My god brother called me. He was like, hey, sis, I got this job. I'm working. So. They need help in Pennsylvania. I'm like, okay. So where I'm going, I've never been to Pittsburgh at all. Never been outside of Missouri for real, except for, being in the military. So I'm like, okay, they're going to pay for your train ticket. They're going to give you somewhere to stay. They got a job for you, all this. I'm like, okay, cool. That's me. I ain't got no kids. I take risks. I move to Timbuktu if somebody called me and said they had enough money. So I'm like, okay. I moved to Pittsburgh. Girl, I hopped on that train faster than a new Ford truck. I jumped on that train, went to Pittsburgh. I was there for I made it there in April, May, June. Yeah. So I was there for about 2 months before my children's father came to work there. So we became co-workers. And we actually lived in company housing, and he was my roommate. So, of course, we ended up, being intimate, getting to know each other, being intimate. We didn't even know each other for 2 weeks before I told him, look, I'm going back home. This business ain't legit. I got to go. It was some stuff going on with the business. My uncle told me, look, that don't sound right. You need to come back home. So I was about to move back to Atlanta, where I left my husband to go to. And he told me, I don't want you to leave without me. I think I'm falling in love with you. I don't want to be away from you and this and that. So I'm like, oh shoot, okay, come on. Now, mind you, I'm from Missouri, so I've always had my own place ever since I graduated high school. I had an apartment in Missouri that I was still paying rent on, but I just wasn't living there. So I'm like, okay, my uncle not finna let you come to Atlanta with us. That's a no-no. He not finna, he not gonna let you move in there. So let's just go back to Missouri, So after 2 weeks of knowing each other, he moved all the way from Pittsburgh, which is where he was from, to Missouri with me. Wow. We went through our relationship, the first year and a half, I got pregnant. Year and a half later, I got pregnant again. Year and a half later, I got pregnant again. And after 6 years, he left. And yeah, so that's how we met. So it was definitely just a random situation. Like, oh, this guy, I work with him. But when I saw him come through that door, honey, I was like, ooh. So yeah, I'm a very I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to what I want. I don't wait for men to hit on me. So yeah, it was definitely, I pursued him. And he's a lot younger than me. He's like 4 years younger than me, though. So, yeah, it was definitely a situation.
Okay, so y'all, the audience, I hope y'all didn't forget. She said,
do not make this a blueprint of what you should do. Do not do this, because I don't know if you caught it, but I was still married when I got with this man. I hadn't divorced my husband. I just left him, you know? So I was still married. I had been married since I was 19. When I met my children's father, I was 25. So I had been married for 6 years, and I hadn't divorced my husband. I just left him. And my children's father was married, and he had left his wife. So he had been separated from his wife for a year, and I had been separated from my husband for about 6 or 7 months at the time. And we basically attracted each other through trauma. Like, we were attracted through trauma, and
Trauma,
that's not a
trauma.
healthy way to start a relationship.
So it's like trauma bonding, they call it.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long has it been since
Since
you
I was
been apart?
3 years.
It's been
It's
3 years.
been 3 years. Yes. It's
So
been 3 years.
Cece, when that happened, right? How
Mhm.
did the transitioning go? Like he just got up one morning and left, and then
So in 2021,
mhm.
April of 2021, um, I had been through an abusive relationship with this man for 6 years. Um, like I said, we met in 2016, 15, 16. We met in 2016. He moved to Missouri with me. He didn't become abusive until maybe almost a year into our relationship. Is the first time he put his hands on me. And um, not too long after that is when I realized that I was pregnant with our first child. He was actually, we had broken up. We had broken up. We decided, this is not for us. We're not for each other. This is toxic. We don't want to do this. So he had decided to go back home. He had a train ticket and everything to go back home. 2 days before his train left, we found out I was pregnant.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes. So we were never planning on being together before we had children. We had already decided we are not compatible. This is not what we need to do. So after I found out I was pregnant, he still ended up leaving. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to get a job and get a house and everything, make a life for us so you can move up here. We can do this. We could try to work things out for the baby. I'm like, okay, because we had decided to keep the baby. So he was like, okay. I waited for him. My whole pregnancy, I was alone. He came back the last 3 months. I did that 3 times. Um, when I was pregnant with my last baby, well, before I got pregnant with her, I left him April of 2021. I left him in the middle of the night because, like I said, he was very abusive. He was very jealous, very insecure, a narcissist. So it was really hard for me to confront him with things that I knew would upset him. And I knew that me telling him that I wanted to leave, especially with my 2 children at the time.
Well, a
Um,
narcissist will have you thinking that you the problem
exactly.
and that
Exactly.
you caused everything to go bad. And then
Exactly.
you trying to figure out in your mind, well, what did I do? And
What
you
did I do?
that is
That
your fault.
I went through that for 6 years before I realized what was happening. And so before I got pregnant with my last baby, like I said, I left him in April, middle of the night. He was working a job overnight, and I called him at work. I was like, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to go to mama's so she can help me with the kids until you get home, just so I can get some rest. I just feel sick. He was like, okay, that's cool. I'll call you in the morning when I get home. Like, okay. Hun, I took them kids and I left like a thief in the night, just like Tina Turner did on What's Love Got to Do with. I took Junior and Frank and I hit the road, Jack. And I went straight to my mom's house and I stayed there. And he was calling me for about 2 days and I did not answer the phone. And when I finally did answer the phone, he was asking me like, what happened? Like, where are you? Where are my kids? And this and that. And I just told him, like, I'm not coming back. Like, I can't do it no more. Hold on. Go lay down. So yeah, he was asking me what's going on? Like, why haven't you answered my calls? And I was just like, I'm not coming back. This is not working for me. I'm tired of going through this. You should be tired of going through this. It's been 6 years. Like, when is this gonna end? And I felt like if I wouldn't have left, I would still be there because he was not gonna leave me. He was not gonna leave me. And he waited from April to October. He stayed in our apartment and he didn't leave. He stayed in the apartment for 6 months before he left and went back home. And he finally realized she's not coming back. So I stayed with my mom and I applied for, an apartment where she lived. And I got a place there and he was gone. And and when he left, 2 days after he left, I found out I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I went to see him, even though I had left him, I went to see him for his birthday within that 6 months. And I took the kids to go see him, for his birthday. And we ended up spending the night with him. Of course, we were intimate that night, because my feelings were still involved. I still loved him. Just because I left him didn't mean that, everything I felt went away. But I just couldn't do it no more. So I did go visit him for his birthday, me and the kids, and we ended up being intimate, and that's when I got pregnant.
So, one, tell us, how did you get over him? And two, when did things start to get better in your life?
Okay. So for the first year and a half of him being gone, I was still trapped in our relationship. I still felt like if I talk to anybody, I'm cheating on him. If I give anybody a chance, I'm cheating on him. If I entertain anybody, I'm cheating on him. If I'm happy, I'm cheating on him because he wasn't happy with the decision I made. So for the first year and a half of him being gone, I was still bound in that relationship. I was still, yeah, like I was still chained to him spiritually. Like I really was spiritually and mentally. I was still connected to him. And I let him verbally abuse me for a year and a half. Every time I talked to him, it was always about, oh, I miss you. We need to get back together and we need to make this work. We have kids, this and that. And I was always for it. But the whole time he's in a relationship with somebody else. And I knew this. Like that's the sad part about it. I knew this and I believed him when he told me it doesn't matter who I'm with. You're still the one that I want. And so I stayed faithful in a relationship that I wasn't even in. I stayed faithful to that.
Fine.
Yes. Yes. He had my mind completely bondaged. Like there was nobody could get me to turn my head away from him. And he wasn't even here anymore.
So it's like a stronghold.
Yes. And I say last year around February, because my birthday's in January. After he didn't call me for my birthday last year, he didn't call me for my birthday, wish me a happy birthday. And then my daughter's birthday, our daughter's birthday is 2 weeks after mine. He didn't call her for her birthday, didn't wish her happy birthday. I think that's when I started to realize like this man really does not love me. He does not care about me. He does not care about our children. He doesn't care about the life we made. Everything he's told me up to this point is a lie. I can't believe anything he says. That's when I realized I need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I opened my mind up. I didn't necessarily physically start entertaining or talking to someone, but that's when I opened my mind up to other people. Like, you know what? If somebody comes my way, then I'm going to give them a chance. And we literally still, like when I tell you we were still emotionally attached all the way up until that point, I mean, on the phone, sexting, everything, like sending
It's like
pictures and
a
being intimate.
stronghold.
Yeah,
When
it
you're
was.
still connected to that
Hmm.
person, even when they don't deserve you, it's like you still have that feeling. I think a lot of us women have been there where we held on to a relationship. Um,
Hmm.
and men too have been with
Yeah,
some held on to a relationship that we shouldn't have been in. The person just did not deserve us. They didn't appreciate us, but we have to know our worth.
Yeah.
And that's one of the greatest feelings is when you can look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm beautiful, I'm enough,
Mm-hmm.
I'm worthy, I'm unique, I'm
Mm-hmm.
worthy. God loves me. I love
Girl,
myself.
that's it right there.
Loving
Yeah.
yourself. Like
Yeah.
I used to think like, okay, um, if you had a certain family member in your life, or if you had a certain man that you liked or wanted to be with, that person so showed you love. That was it. You had
Mm-hmm.
but the truth is you have to love yourself and be happy
Yeah.
in yourself, because when you're happy within yourself, the person that comes along, they just add to that. You can't look for happiness or love in the person that you're dating or
Mm-hmm.
family member or friend. You got to be settled within yourself and know who you are, and I had to learn
You,
that.
yes. You literally have to wake up every day and live with a purpose. Like, be happy on purpose. Like, I literally had to teach myself how to be happy on purpose, regardless of what goes on in my life, what I've been through, what I have to look forward to. I'm going to be happy on purpose. I had to make that statement every morning when I woke up. Like, Drika, you're going to be happy on purpose. You don't, regardless of what happens, you're going to be happy on purpose because you have God. That, to answer your second question, what has changed in my life since then and what helped me get over it? God. It's just simple as that. Once I realized that this man was no good for me, that he didn't love me, he was no good for my children. I went back to church because I had strayed away from, the church house and the teachings that I was taught growing up. I was raised in a Baptist church, Baptist home. So I learned once I started studying the word for myself and started gaining a personal relationship with the Lord. I learned that a lot of the things I was taught was not right. And so it was hard for me to accept going back to church. Like, I don't need to go to church. I can just stay here at home and read my word and I'm good. But the Lord tells us, don't fail to assemble yourselves. Be around people that are like you. Be around people that have the same testimony as you, that struggle with you, that have
Like
the same savior. Exactly. Exactly. So once I got that aspect in my head, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to church. I'm gonna give it a try. And I went back to the church that I joined when I was 17. And I'm still a member there to this day, a non-denominational church, New Direction Outreach Ministries, Bishop Lamonte Calvin. I got to shout him out. We are known as the Purple Church in Sikeston, Missouri. So if you ever in Sikeston, come visit the Purple Church. But yeah, my bishop, his testimony, him and his wife's testimony really drew me to them because they're not like, old preachers, 50, 60, 70 years old up there that lived back they are late 40s, like, oh, I done been through that. My bishop, he was in the streets, he was a gangster before he got saved. He was, my first lady, she's been through abusive relationships and abusive marriage and survived that and found the love of her life. So their testimony alone drew me to them. But when they became my spiritual parents, and I realized, like I said, my father died when I was 4. So I didn't grow up with a father. He was in a car accident when I was 4 years old. So my mom raised me a single mother. So when they showed me the love that I needed from spiritual parents and showed me what it's like to serve God and still live in this crazy world, I'm like, oh, I'm good. This is where I belong. And I could tell them everything. There was nothing that I couldn't tell them. And still to this day, there's nothing I can't share with them that they'll judge me for or anything like that. They don't judge. They're just literally laid back people. Like, it is
look,
what it is. You've been through
this is what's so dope. Well, maybe I shouldn't say the word dope because if my son see this video, he gonna tell me, "Mom, nobody says that anymore."
it.
But this is what this is what's
I
so
still say
dope.
it, so you are right.
Okay, okay. When you meet pastors, evangelists, teachers, preachers, that have been through the fire,
Mm-hmm.
mind sharing their story, and they don't get up there and pretend like they've been saved all their life.
Yes.
Those are the type of people that I love.
Yes.
I love to be around. I love to hear their testimonies. Now,
Mm-hmm.
we had Pastor Andre Scales come on for season 1.
Okay.
And he talked about his story of addiction. His story is so powerful. But when I tell you he is so down to earth, so down to earth. And he encourages people, and he's actually out there in the community. I'm not talking about just in the church, you know, preaching, teaching. I'm talking about he's outside the church ministering as
That's
well,
what I'm talking
out
about.
in the community, bringing the people in and telling his.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love. Now, nothing against any pastors that don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just speaking from my opinion, what I like, what I love to see. I love to see
Mm-hmm.
people that reach outside of the church building, because in reality, we are the church.
Exactly.
That's the
And
building we go to fellowship.
I can definitely agree with you on that because that's exactly how my bishop is. Like he really is. Like I said, the name of our church speaks for itself. New Direction Outreach Ministry. You know, we literally, our goal is to go out into the community and feel the need of the people in the community. If you need love, we got that. If you need God, we got that. If you need clothes, we got that. You need shoes, you need food. Like that's what our goal is. That's what our entire ministry is built off of, helping the community. So I definitely can agree with you on that because that's why it took me so long to find a solid church home because you have so many pastors out here and churches out here that, like you said, all they're concerned about is their members. Well, if you're not in here, you know, we can't do nothing for you. You got to come in the church house and then we can help you out. No, Jesus didn't do that. Jesus wasn't in no, Jesus traveled the world. He met robbers, you know what I'm saying? Like thieves and liars and people that was doing all type of stuff. His 12 disciples. What none of them say. What none of them men that you would look up to. You know what I'm saying? They were men in the streets, like doing stuff that they had no business doing, and they found this man, like, you know, oh, okay, I need to follow him. He talking about something.
Yeah.
Jesus went out and he did that to reach out to the people that were lost. So for people, for me, I'm like that. I can adjust to any environment. I can adapt to my surroundings like that. Literally. I don't care if I was in a prison, if I was in because my bishop, that's what he does. He does prison ministries and street ministries and things like that. But me being around I understand people. No type of person bothers me. No type of person turns me off to motivating them or encouraging them.
Listen, when I started this podcast, well, before I started it, when I was talking about starting it, and I said I wanted all different kind of people on my
Mhm,
platform.
mhm,
Some people may not agree with that, but I did not want it to be to where it was just strictly Christian.
mhm,
I
mhm.
say it again. I did not want my platform to be where it was strictly Christian based. Because
Figure.
I'm going to tell you why. There's too many people that are hurting, that have been through church hurt, that have been through trauma from
Mm,
childhood, adulthood, broken marriages, um, mental issues from whatever that they've been through. It's so many things people have been through, right?
mhm,
If everybody stay inside the church and only help the people that come in through that door,
Come on now.
What about the people that's outside the church that's hurting and that's afraid or embarrassed to walk through the door to come to
Right.
church?
Like what are they supposed to do? Like,
And now we're living in a world where social media is where it's at. And I'm
mhm,
not saying that you're, sit on social media all day and do church. That's not what I'm saying. However, we have people that they may not believe in going to the church building,
yeah.
or they may feel a certain way about it because of church hurt. We don't know. People done been through so much, right?
Mhm.
But how are we going to reach the people outside the church? How are we going to reach the pimps, the prostitutes, the people that been bound with addictions, the people that been
Yeah.
arrested, the people that's been raped, the
The
people that
only way to do it is to go out there with them.
and to me, what I see on a daily is people are on social media and they are looking for answers.
Mhm.
If you search certain topics on social media and you go to the comment section and you read, type in a pastor's name or a teacher's name or a public speaker's name, or even
Mhm.
somebody that just be on social media, somebody like us, we might have an inspirational video.
Yeah.
Anybody can have an inspirational video. Go to that comments, go to their comments and start reading them comments. You start seeing how people are hurting.
Crying out for help,
Yeah,
literally.
people start telling their stories. People's, they're afraid, they're embarrassed. Some people are
Mhm.
embarrassed of what they've been through to walk in the church and say, I need help. But what if they see
Mhm.
a video of somebody on a podcast or a social media platform that says, I used to be a prostitute and
Mhm.
delivered me. I used to be a pimp and God delivered me. You know,
Mhm.
so it could be a story where somebody, I wanted kids and I can't have kids, but they see somebody on a platform, God bless them with a miracle child. Hey, that's me. I got
Yep.
a miracle child. We all
Mhm.
have a purpose. We all have been through pain and we all have a purpose. And our
Yeah.
purpose is to share our story. That's not, that's it. A lot of us
Mhm.
have other purposes, but we're supposed to share our story. So if we stay in the building, how are we going to help these other single moms that is not coming in the building to hear about how they can get through it?
Mhm.
And people will love on them and let them
Yeah.
know, "Girl, it's going to be all right. I got you. If you need prayer, call me. If you need prayer, text me. My inbox is always open." It might
And
be
that's exactly what we have to do.
Yeah, it might be somebody to see your story, about being a single mom and going back and forth in that relationship, and it might click for them. If she
Mhm.
did it and got away and her life is better, I can do it too. This is
Mhm.
what it's
Exactly.
all about.
Yep. And it's not, it's more challenging when you feel so alone in it. Pause it
Mhm.
real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, so we got to continue to have these podcasts. Some people don't agree with the podcast, they
Mhm.
think that it's only supposed to be, teaching inside the church, and some people do
Mhm.
believe in it. But I believe that you can get messages, from social media. You can get it from the church. You
Yes.
scrolling and see something inspirational. You could be going through something and you might see somebody video that just might lift your spirit. You just never
Mhm.
what God has for you and the people that he put in your path to help you through it and to encourage you, and like the connections that
Yes.
I'm so grateful for, the connections that God has given me through this podcast season.
Mhm.
I connected with people that I never thought that I would connect with.
Mhm.
And my prayer is that God continue to open up doors bigger than I can ever imagine.
And he will.
Not just for me though, for the people
Mhm.
around me.
He will, simply because you're putting the energy that you need into that. Like you said, not just for yourself, but for other people to benefit spiritually, and physically from your podcast. Everything that we do, especially when we consider ourselves children of God, everything that we do must be ordained and anointed by the Holy Spirit. It has to be, because if not, then you're doing it in vain. And everything that you're doing, just from me knowing you, the little time that I've known you, I can tell that everything that you're doing is genuine. That is definitely ordained. It was not a coincidence for you to just randomly find me on TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was not a coincidence. That was God, because God knew, He knows what relieves us, what gives us peace.
And we clicked.
One thing, yes,
Once we started
and
talking, it was just
girl. And one thing about me that gives me peace is telling my story, because I was quiet for so long. Like I said, I'm a very private person. I always have been.
too. Yeah.
Yes. So everything that I went through with my ex-husband, everything I went through with my children's father, everything I went through, I was sexually abused as a child, for years before it came to the light. So everything that I went through from the age of 4, when my father passed, all the way up until I got healed 2 years ago. Everything in between, I kept it to myself. Nobody knew what I was going through. I wasn't the type of person to run to my family every time me and my spouse got into it. Oh, he did this, he did that. I need y'all. No, I just dealt with it. And every time somebody saw me, what was I doing? Hey, how y'all
Smiling.
doing?
I felt
Smiling.
pain in the inside.
Nobody ever knew what I was going through until I got out of it. Once I got healed from it and I was able to talk about it without being emotional, is when it became real for me. And I felt like it became my purpose. I've had so many people to tell me, oh, you need to be a motivational speaker. I motivate people every day, because literally the people that I talk to on the street, once I tell them my story, they be like, girl, I never thought you went through nothing like that. Thank God I don't look like what I went through,
Yes.
So it's just all a matter of, like I said, going through it is one thing, but coming out of it is a whole nother situation. Like, it
Right.
definitely is, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
So listen, for our audience, I know that we came on here to talk about single parenting. And we talked about single parenting. We talked about being married. We talked about all the kids we had. We
All
talked,
of the above, honey.
we talked about why we chose certain topics. Look, we talked about a whole lot. So y'all have a lot of information for tonight. Y'all got a lot of gems, a lot of notes that y'all could have took down. Go back and watch the video. Whatever works for you, take those gems and use it. We
Mhm.
appreciate you for watching the show. Look, we don't time things. We go with the flow. We just flow with the conversation. We get the information out to you. We share our stories. We
'Cause,
invite you.
honey, we overflowed tonight.
Yes, it's been an overflow. And if you have a story, you are more than welcome to email me at creativesoulbusiness@gmail.com. So go ahead and email me if you have a story that you would like to tell on the podcast, to help others. Now, we don't get on here and just talk about pain just because we want to talk about pain. We want people to know about the purpose, the pain
Mhm.
that pushed us, that drove us to our purpose, so that
Mhm.
we encourage others that they can get up and they can keep moving, and that God is with them, and that things will get better, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Now,
Yes,
see,
there is.
anything to add before we close?
Yes, I definitely would want to add that everything that I've shared today was definitely my pain. Everything that I went through, my trials, my tribulations, that was my pain. But it led me to my purpose. In April of this year, I ran for city council in my hometown. I became a city council member.
Congratulations.
I became a city council member. I've recently had a new move. to a new place, where a bigger place, a safer environment for my children.
Yes.
I'm now, in a couple of weeks, I'll be starting as a teacher's aide at the Head Start where I am. So it is definitely, everything that you go through is worth it. I don't want anyone to think that, oh, I'm going through. If you're still in the midst of going through, just know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. As long as you tough it out and you put God first, He will definitely lead you to the end of that rainbow. Girl, it's a big pot of gold there, I'm telling you. And I'm trying to share it with everybody. I'm trying to tell you. I have a nonprofit organization called Love Galore Community Charities, where I help rebuild and revamp communities around my area. And it's a 2 years old, 2 year old charity, but I'm definitely trying to get it to be bigger. So is it okay if I put my donation information on here? Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you would like to donate to Love Galore Community Charities, you can cash app Baby Xanders. That's cash tag BABYZANDERS and the number 3. That is for my children because they inspired the charity. So that's their cash app, and everything that I accumulate will go towards the communities in my area. Anything that they need, from elderly needs to grocery shopping to transportation to A+ programs to anything that has to do with children, all of that. So if you would like to donate to Love Galore Community Charities, that is how you do that. You can find me on TikTok, Miss Cece Dijon, and Instagram as well. Woman of Faith 91 at gmail.com is my email. Talk to me. I'm a very open person. I'm not, a judgmental person. And I love to hear people's stories because my story is what delivered me. Being able to tell my story is what keeps me delivered and keeps me from going back into that dark place. So I'm definitely here. I don't claim to be a therapist or anything like that, but I do have 2 ears and one
From
mouth for a reason.
experience.
Exactly. I have two, like I said, I have 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. So I like to listen more than I talk. So I'm here is all I can say. I'm definitely here. And God bless you. Thank you so much for having me. Creative, like I said, it's not a coincidence that we ran into each other. So God bless you.
God bless you too. I thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed you, and I wish you blessings, girl. And I do donate to charities, nonprofits, and stuff. So Paint to Purpose will be donating to your nonprofits. And I'm gonna let the audience know, for the ones that do not know, sometimes I do talent shows from time to time on my social media.
Ooh,
And Cece don't know it yet, but she's gonna be on the platform, co-hosting with me while be a judge while I do my talent show. So
okay.
so we'll
I like that.
um, we'll definitely keep you guys posted on the talent shows. We took a little break on the talent shows, but we will be getting back to those talent shows. So you will see a lot more of Miss Cece. I thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the channel. Do the thumbs up. Put those comments in there and let us know what you think. Again, if you have a story that you would like to tell, go ahead and email me at creativesoul.business@gmail.com. And if you are going through something and you need somebody just to encourage you or pray with you, my inbox is always open on Facebook. As well as TikTok. You can always email me, and Miss Cece, she always has her boxes open as well. So you can inbox her. We do not claim to be therapists or ministers or anything like that. We just speak from experience, and we will pray with you, we encourage you. We try to be around like-minded people, and we just like to have a good time as well. Everything is not always serious. We do like to smile and have a little fun. So thank you for tuning in. Don't forget our Paint to Purpose t-shirts and our tumblers that we have. You can email me for those as well. And remember, it's only pain until you discover your purpose and start your healing journey. We'll
That's
see
right.
you next time. Bye.